of America. This is Smart. Mado Ajaja, the convener of Open Nigeria and Africa Unite, and the anchor of Nigeria Now and Matters Arising at ONN. Yes, how are you all doing today? I hope you guys had a great weekend. Great weekend. I had a beautiful weekend. It was very pleasant, sunny, cool, not hot. So we are here again, the beginning of the week, and I wish every one of you the very best of the week. And we are resuming our operations, telling the people the truth about what is taking place in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. Yes, today we're going to be talking about something. This broadcast is going to be brief because I'm going to have to be getting out soon. Yes, about the intellectual rustiness. Yes, that is celebrated as a politically strategic in Nigeria. Why keeping the country far and wide and more divided by those who are supposed to be bringing the people together. You imagine a professor who teaches students, coming out, and we have been celebrating it. Nonsense of dividing the country that is supposed to be one. Our independence was premised on one Nigeria, but every time you hear in the media, you hear Nigerian intellectuals, what they say will disgust you about the essence of one Nigeria and the reason we are one country. Yes, so I am going to address a statement that was reeled out to the people of Nigeria in millions yesterday on Arise television by a celebrated professor of political science, Professor Undenta Udenta. So I would love every Nigerian who will be listening to this broadcast to share this message as wide as possible so that it will get to the likes of Professor Udenta and Reuben Abati, another nasty one. Yeah, and are holding forth in the mainstream media of Nigeria. And they are confusing our younger people. They are creating confusion in the country. So we don't know why we should be Nigerians. Yes, some of us know that if we are Nigeria, we have to be Nigeria in truth and in spirit. Yeah, so but I'm going to read something first and then you hear. Or let me let you listen to this. I hope the internet will be friendly so you can listen to this nonsense, and make your judgment. If there is any need for that statement in a supposed one Nigeria, please, as you are joining, share this message. If you are visiting us for the very first time, we welcome you and warmly welcome you and thank you. And please like this stream. And so YouTube, we continually recommend our channel to other people. And then you do your own part too by sharing the message and bringing your friends. Again, ONN is a global movement. It's this whole past week, issues from Nigeria, policies, issues, and the economic implication of what is taking place globally and how it is impacting the citizens here and many more, that we talk about. But Nigeria has dominated our discourse here. My sincere apologies for that. But again, when you come here, you learn, you have insight into what's taking place in Nigeria. And then be, one who will be able to discuss at least with some different ideas about the happenings in Nigeria. So we welcome you to ONN once again. All right, listen to this. Let's play it so you can hear Professor Udenta at Arise Television, one of the biggest television stations or network in Nigeria. But are they doing a good job? No, they are misinforming the people of Nigeria. The media does a direct opposite of what the media worldwide does. It is worse that mainstream media around the world, it's not good. But the ones in Nigeria, terribly corrupt. Yes, divisive. And wantonly ignorant. So here it is. Let's see. Let's hope it plays. All right. So while it is loading, I'm going to be talking so we can all be in one place. So Again, our new members, our new very first time people that were brought here. All right, here we go.
With the year 2027 gradually approaching, various stakeholders and opposition political parties have been deliberating on possible names that can lead their campaign to unseat the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Lately, the reported 2027 ambition of former President Goodluck Jonathan has split the People's Democratic Party into two camps, with the stakeholders holding divergent positions on the issue. While some party members believe Jonathan should not contest against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, various political pressure groups drummed up support for the ex-leader. However, if former President Goodluck Jonathan decides to run, what are the chances of him creating an offset against President Bola Tinubu? Joining us on this show to discuss this is Professor Undenta Udenta, political strategist and a founding national secretary of the Alliance for Democracy, AD. Professor Udenta, good morning and good to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. Reuben. After inexplicable hiatus, I once more humbly present myself before the irrepressible gang of three. And I do hope we're going to have an engaging, enlightening, and productive conversation.
Okay, Prof. Now, although I'm not hearing you, maybe it's a problem with the talk back here. But if you can hear me, that would be fine. I might as well just go ahead and ask you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can hear me?
I can hear you very clearly.
Okay.
Very, very well.
What
are you hearing me now?
About 2027 and all these debates, conversations, permutations about whether or not President Goodluck Jonathan should run, and whether or not, if he decides to run, he will stand a chance against President Tinubu. Since those who are encouraging him to run are saying, oh, he's the best candidate that can get President Tinubu out of the place. He's from the South. He will only do one term and all of that.
From the South.
What do you think? What do you advise?
One Nigeria from the South.
Somehow, for some reason, a specter is haunting the Nigerian political space. That specter is much more acute within the ranks of the dominant or the hegemonic power bloc. This power bloc is composed of top members of the parliament, presidential power brokers, including noisy aides of the president, distracted ministers, and lawyers with dubious agenda. That specter is Jonathan's second coming. You'll recall that 10 years ago, slightly more than 10 years ago, that historic moment that former President picked that phone and made a call to late President Buhari, then General Muhammad Buhari. I lost you one. Congratulations. Set a tone for a new direction, a new conversation about democracy and its consolidation in Africa, not just Nigeria. Became the brightest moment of the reawakening of democratic sensibilities and consciousness. 10 years down the line, as a global statesman, figure, the news is all over town that former President Jonathan may likely seek a second term, even though he has not spoken directly. That is why there's frightened. That's why the rank of the power brokers are frightened. And it is understandable for objective reasons why there is confusion in their ranks. I'll ask the question to, you three guys. When ministers, leaders of the APC, and presidential spokespersons give advice to PDP, they've already branded dead. Not to feed Jonathan because of some legal consequences. It looks as if they're taking Panado for other people's headache. The critical problem is that the second term of the president is going to be a referendum. It will not be an aspirational moment in which, oh, this is what I'm going to do for the country. I'm a newcomer in the game. I'm fresh minted. 4 years is enough time for the country to assess him, to say, if you're coming back 2027, this is a scorecard. 2 years plus, after the macroeconomic shocks of Naira floating and subsidy removal, the land is still ravaged by poverty and hunger and insecurity. That means if a Jonathan is to be a candidate of the opposition party, especially the PDP, he was the last president of that party. It's going to be a tall order for the president and his team to win. For the simple reason that they're going to run on your term. At that time, it's going to be a shabby, clueless, incompetent term of office. That being the case, it is better to shut down that conversation quickly, to declare the former president possibly constitutionally debarred from contesting, and then to create some sense of chaos and disorder within the ranks of his party. Now let's talk briefly about the PDP. Reuben, Rufai, and Ayo, for over a year and a half, almost 2 years, the party was pronounced dead, racked by internal factionalization and contradictions that would never find its bearing. Therefore, the party was written off. Now, the same party that was written off is now being asked not to fill the former president because the party has rebounded, recreated, and reborn. That took a long time in coming. I'm not a member of the party, but I'm a close watcher of party politics in Nigeria and a student of our history. The rebate of PDP was a difficult process, marshaled by three forces. The Governors Forum, led by the Governor of Bauchi State, the chairman of that forum, the BOT, led by Senator Mwabara, and the rebranded NWC, led by, Ilea Damagos, Ambassador Damagos, the chairman. With the stage coming back of the secretary of the party, the tone was set for party rebranding. 3 or 4 next, a convention just around the corner, and possibility that out of the ashes of this previous, disastrous moment of the past year and a half, the party is set to become coherent once more. If that happens, and President Jonathan, on the heels of the persuaders who are very agitated that they should come into the fray and save the nation, almost on the edge of the precipice, that's why they find this particular phenomenon is rankling the ranks of the APC and the presidentialist insiders. If it happens, my suspicion is that it's not only the internal factors of his competence and ability, maybe to do what he did, decade plus ago.
What did he do?
The foreign exchange, it was very low, naira to dollar. Grew the economy to be the biggest in Africa. Fought Boko Haram to stand still. Reuben, you were there. A stand still. The internal domestic franchise was completely emasculated. The size broken into pieces. The sources of fund destroyed. And many other things one can keep talking about if the time is available. If he's to come back with 10 years of deep experience and exposure in international politics, the context, therefore, in 2027 will no longer be a national context, becomes an international context. That means the eyes of the world will be on the country. That means anybody's going to leverage on the apparatuses of the state. We're going to leverage on the army, the DSA, the police, the INEC. We have a boss because there'll be acute and intense scrutiny of the electoral process, which may be unprecedented in our history and possibly not to be witnessed if Jonathan is not going to contest. These, for me, are some of the reasons why there is visible panic in the ranks of the other side. The other second person who I'm sure is creating that sense of panic was the former candidate of the Labour 2023. I didn't mention him too, because he was a member of the PDP for a long time. And if indeed the party, as I say, is reborn and himself is only part of that mix, either him or Jonathan has the capacity and everything, he can hear you.
Show with a lot of passion, but let me come in here to just passionately
a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. That's better now.
Okay, excellent. So you've come to talk about how the chances of former President Goodluck Jonathan, if he decides to run. I think it's important to mention that he hasn't yet declared his intentions.
Absolutely.
As to whether or not he would run. But if he does decide to run, based on the pressure from different parties, with the structure that the APC currently have, the power of incumbency, do you think any party currently has the structure to accommodate a viable opponent to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
You see, the APC structure is an inorganic structure. It's not an organic structure. Organic structure is a structure that is deep-rooted within the people, that is from ground up. That means you take out a governor of PDP or any other party and absorb that governor into your rank. Have you absorbed the people? Have you taken the infrastructure, public support, or public anger or discontentment? Have you taken that into consideration? We saw what happened in 2023. It was a wake-up call for APC and even PDP. When a candidate of the Labour Party, without the so-called infrastructure of support, without governors, without senators, without reps, without even local government apparatus, structure that is elitist in content. It is just the top 110% parading themselves as leaders of the parties across the country. Even PDP as a party with some difficulties over the years has enormous structure, maybe more than even APC, because it's been deeply embedded since 1998. What it needs is just something like a shot in the arm, that convention in November, and the party is roaring back. Every home, every village, every ward in the country has a PDP presence. So if the former president who hasn't spoken, actually, whether he's going to contest or not, we have to take up that challenge and use that platform. There'll be, I suspect, a rush from across the other opposition parties, even from Labour, even from ADC, even those sitting on the fence, even members of the APC. And the reasons are very simple. One, you said it, Dr. Reuben in your introduction. A guaranteed one term, which, of course, P2B has been screaming about because he knows the importance of that. 2023 certainly emerged as a precedent. The indication there is that Southern will continue to 2031. That's what
Can you imagine?
Strategic zoning to the south, led by the government.
This is a professor
important decision.
Teaching students
important, courageous decision.
from across Nigeria, making this divisive statement.
The reason is that the South is already going to become a cohesive front. If you don't have a strong person like the former President Jonathan or P2B to contend with Bola Tinubu, then it takes the entire South. If you have President Jonathan, for example, and maybe there's no B in the ticket, the entire Southeast and South side is gone from the APC.
Wow.
No doubt about it. He can put it today and he can do a town hall and bring me on board for that conversation. If P2B is going to contest and maybe former President Jonathan is out of the race, the same two zones should be completely out of the reach of APC, in spite of those parading at the top. And for the North, they will settle this dispute. That's why PDP is only to the South. The North will settle this dispute. How do they settle the dispute? Anybody who has ears on the ground, who understands the tremors of politics and these tectonic shifts in the country today, will understand that this North will heave for former President Jonathan for very good reasons. One, his liberal disposition, the fact that he considered the election easily and walked away. He grew himself into a powerful global brand, into a powerful African leader, building consensus across nations, holding election meetings and so on, and then doing monitoring and conflict resolution. And again, his record on service, far better than what we have today, even the past 8 years of Buhari. So the North will take that single decision. We want a liberal-minded president who will not hold power, who will not grab it and run, who will do it inclusive.
Okay. Albeit all these points you've raised, Prof, are anecdotal. We consider the election anecdotal.
Absolutely.
You've not been able to empirically weigh the marginal disposition of the love based on opinion polls, so there's no weighted averages as regards that. He goes for international press conferences and looks at the election, does peace mediation. Yes, some soft power disposition, but it's not being weighted across the North. No empirical statistics to that. And that's why I say all of this, albeit anecdotal. He's liberal-minded and everything. Yeah, that's not being weighted across board in the North. So you don't have like a perception index to it. So it's very easy to say yes for the sake of emotional nostalgia. It's a proposition that will sail. But you also think quickly that the North that gave Tinubu close to over 50% of the vote in the last election will make a quick pivot because Jonathan is now in the fray or considering the fray. That's number one. Number two, we act like, that the APC does not have strong footing in the North and majority of the governors will not hold true as regards the electionary process. The North understands the zeitgeist of the nation. Most of the arguments I've heard from the North is also about positioning for when power will come back to the North, because we've built a very asinine system, and I must say in this country, that only feels that when power is residing with somebody from my region, I'm happy about it. And when power goes to the other region, we're just waiting for power to come back. And it's been a dichotomy, between the North and the South all this while. I want you to challenge those talking points I've put forward, albeit an a priori, Prof.
I get it. Anecdotal, when people try to even reduce the import of anecdotal evidence in politics, it means there is a lack of concentrated attention on what is called trend lines. Trend lines are not exactly scientific in terms of measurement. Trend lines are not scientific in terms of predictability of numbers, 2%, 10%, 50%. It never works anywhere. But trend line is how do people behave given certain conditions. If former President Jonathan was to contest the election and the quietude in the land, in the ranks of the APC, from the presidential spokespersons, from the party leaders of the APC, from ministers who abandoned the responsibilities, from lawyers who are somehow engaged or recruited, it means somebody's worried. It's not me that is saying it. And totally, people are worried about his coming. And they have done their mathematics. They've done their own evidence-based understanding of the situation. They have personally looked at the numbers to say, if he comes on board, what will likely be the deep challenges to our own person? And if that happens, what do we do? Do we simply write him off? They have the right to write him off and say, we welcome you on board. Come on, President Jonathan, like you posted out the 3 issues, posers you raised. We're going to smash through you and decapitate you politically. So we don't care about you and your party, but they didn't do that. They're busy giving him excuses, giving him reasons why he shouldn't contest. There was even a banner on the Nation newspaper front page. That banner is what? Why President Jonathan will not contest in order not to break certain unity. The charge of certain solidarity is resonating across the board. It's not me. It is them pushing that narrative because they know that if it comes on board, the certain unity, the purported, bogus, mythologized certain unity.
All right.
But as a founding national secretary of Alliance for Democracy, I caught my teeth deep in the politics of the East, the West, and the North. The biggest players in Eastern Nigerian politics are part of my own grooming. The biggest players in the Southwest, almost all of them now late. Abraham Adesanya, Uncle Bola Ige, the late Tayo Debenja, they groomed me in the North from Awoniyi to Shiroma, to Shinkafi, to Mahmoud Waziri, to Loya and the rest of them. I'm deeply knowledgeable about the politics of the North. It's not just anecdotal evidence. We talk to people, we hear their mindset. We sit down with senators, we sit down with governors, we sit down with opinion molders. Those from the civic centers and those on traditional ranks, we know what they're saying. But the moment for them to vocalize it hasn't come. Because we may enter another phase of the conversation. Why is the Dogorans and all the Namanis and so on being put together by a serving chief of staff of the president to rally support for the president? Why are they doing rallies across the country, including the Vienna? Because there's a sense of panic. That panic is that 2027 will be a day of reckoning. That reckoning becomes more acute if Jonathan is to contest that election.
Okay, Professor.
So it is not just a question of anecdotal evidence or some sense of nostalgia. It is that the trend line suggests strongly and most accurately there's panic in the rank of the other side.
Okay, Professor Denta. Beyond the politics of personalities and political parties, the major concern of Nigerians is that what will 2027 general election look like? Will it be a free and fair election, or will it be an election that will look like the recent local government elections and by-elections in some states of the Federation? What kind of reform would you like to see?
Okay.
Particularly now that I
All right. I am not concerned about all the jargons and all that about ex-former President Jonathan Goodluck running or not running. Well, in the first place, he was a disaster for 6 years, but he has a right as a citizen of Nigeria. He has a right to aspire to be anything he wants to be, if the Constitution allows him. I am not a part of those who do not want him to run. Let him come to run if he decides that he wants to run. But my problem is with the statements, like you heard, the polarization of Nigeria between the North and the South. And to be very candid, I used to be one of those who talk about the North. No. I know that the South does not exist. It's a bullshit. Any person who tells you about the South, I'm a Southerner, it's nothing. The South of Nigeria is soulless. Yes, soulless. Without a leadership, without nothing, without people who can come together to agree that they are truly indeed South. But I don't want to talk about that because I am a die-hard Nigerian patriot. I am a die-hard nationalist. I don't believe in the North or South. Those are bullshit. Now, I've talked about the South as non-existent. Let's go to the North. When you talk about the North, what are you talking about? Where is the North? The North died a long time ago. And the North came into existence by the creation of Ahmadu Bello, supported by the British colonialists. The North existed for only the benefit of the Fulanis. So when you talk about the North, you are talking about the Fulanis. When you talk about Northern leadership, you are talking about Fulani leadership that have hijacked the concept of the North. And then the North is a smokescreen. They use that big expanse of land called the North to rob Nigeria and the people of Nigeria. But they give absolutely nothing to the people in the North, especially the Hausa people and other northern minorities. And don't forget that the Fulanis are a minority in Nigeria. The Fulani race is a minority race in Nigeria. Yeah, how did they get, they trapped the Hausa people for 221 years, since 1804. Yes, when they came and they invaded Hausa land, disconfigured the Hausa states, all right, forced on them their own brand of violent Islam, with which they seized the Hausa thrones, with which they seized Hausa land, with which they subjugated and repressed the massive Hausa majority, yes, in that enclave. All right, and now they stole their language. They changed how to get them to mislead other people. They took the Hausa language as their language. But they don't treat the Hausa people like they are one and the same, like they told them that with Islam, that they were one and the same brothers and sisters. What they have decided to do, you know how to hijack? They hijacked the Hausa race. They hijacked the Hausa people, repressed them, put them in the kitchen. They are the ones that come in the front. They make decisions in the name of the North and for the benefit of the Hausa people. But in truth and in spirit, the Hausa people are not benefiting. You will not know. People did not know until recently, when the Hausa people started rumbling. And there is a mass, there is going to be a mass revolution in the North. So forget Udenta. The North does not exist. So when they talk about this North, I feel like I kept looking. Are they talking about Benue? The Benue people that they have been slaughtering? Are they talking about the Barons that they have been slaughtering in Plateau? Are they talking about the people that they have been slaughtering in Nasarawa? Where are they talking about? Honestly, Kwara recently. Yes. Who wants that North? Nobody. When they talk about North, it's Fulani North. It's not the North of Nigeria. It has nothing to do with the geographical North of Nigeria. Yes, so that is why I feel sad that somebody who is supposed to be or reckoned with as a high-profile intellectual in Nigeria, like Professor Udenta, who daily teaches students. I don't know which university he's teaching or where he got his professorship, but I'm sure he has been in contact or is still in contact, if he has not retired, with students from across Nigeria. Why creating more confusion? He's supposed to be a uniter. He's supposed to be one, advancing the cause for the organic unity of Nigeria, not coming here to make stupid political permutation driven by regional irredentists. Who cares about that? We are talking about Nigeria. You are telling me about North and South. 65 years after independence, we have preached this gospel of North and South. Where did it lead us? We have the worst educational institutions, or educational policy, or whatever. Anything about education is horrible in Nigeria. We have the worst healthcare delivery system. We have the worst infrastructural problems in Nigeria. We have the worst interpersonal relationship. Yes, every time there is sectarian violence created by these irredentists, and you are here on the national television still misleading our people. Now, Professor Udenta, let me tell the people of Nigeria, what I feel about the intellectual foolishness that is generally highly celebrated in a supposed one Nigeria. Yes, I always come off with profound nausea. Yes, after hearing those considered to be high-profile political strategists like Professor Undenta Udenta speak with so much ignorance and elevating the tendency woven around the divisive, retrogressive, and unconstitutional power sharing arrangement between the elitist-Fulani-North and the fairy tale South, with no soul or drivers, but uh, corrupt, transactional, subservient minority Fulani apologists. Yes, I call them Fulani apologists, driven purely by economics. Yes, Professor Undenta Udenta just reinforced my feelings about this intellectually static section of the Nigerian intelligentsia in Nigeria and the drivers of the mainstream media like the obnoxious Reuben Abati, who have kept on pumping the divisive and obnoxious and retrogressive north, south, and north. Yes, Christian versus Muslim, zonal, rotational presidential rhetoric that has not helped the country and its people since independence, but produced some of the country's worst leaders. Why are we still peddling this nonsense? Why are we still talking about regional nationalism? Why can't we build a country where everybody will belong? Why can't we build an open country with free, fair, equal, unlimited, and unconditional access to opportunity to every citizen to grow and develop, progress and prosper according to his or her levels of ability and competency in a non-threatening environment? That is what we have here. I traveled 29 years ago to the United States, and I have been here. I have taken high-profile jobs. I've been in charge of people. I have walked around this country. At no point in my career was I reminded that I was from Nigeria. Nobody asked me questions about this funny last name that I have unless I volunteer to tell them. Nobody has told me that I cannot be here because I'm from Nigeria or I'm from Texas. I go to Ohio to do work that I have to go there and prove how connected to Ohio I am, or that I'm from the west of America. Why am I in the north of America? This nonsense got to end. And then you see a university professor who is supposed to be an intellectual that the younger generation will rely on, and then he's misleading them. He comes here with pride, really arrogantly, ignorantly intelligent to reel this nonsense. This is crap, that the people of Nigeria should abandon. It has been proven it has not done us any good. And why do we think that continuing that will do us any good? Look at everywhere in Nigeria. Look at how run down the country is. Look at the state of the country's economy. Look at the state of the country's educational system. Look at the state of the country's healthcare delivery system. Look at the state of the country's infrastructure. Look at a country that cannot generate and distribute electricity. And we're here making a case for the continuation or continuity of mediocrity, not answer. What does it do? It never produces the best leadership. Never. Because the worst will always be in charge, like the worst is and has been in charge of Nigeria. Look at Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a drug dealer, certificate forger, an identity thief, that the intellectuals of Nigeria shamelessly lying behind to advance a cause for his continuation. Instead of us working with progress, looking for the best, the very best, regardless of his or her religion, regardless of where he or she comes from, but that ability, competency, knowledge, courage to do justice, and the exceptional and strength of required to lead, required to build, utilize, expand, extend, yes, and sustain capacity beyond him or herself, yes, and for the good of the whole of the country, from generation to generation. That's what we want in Nigeria, and not the nonsense that they are telling us. If you are listening to me right now, please, when anybody tells you about North and South, disregard that person. That person is an enemy of Nigeria. That person is ignorant and does not want the good of Nigeria. We are tired of it. Jonathan Goodluck that he kept on talking about as this Messiah, he had an opportunity to prove himself. God gave him an opportunity to really prove that he could be a Messiah. What did he do? He blew up the chances. He destroyed the country. And then, did he say he fought Boko Haram to a standstill? How did he fight Boko Haram to a standstill? When a fraudster from Australia came and defrauded Nigeria of millions of dollars under his watch to fight Boko Haram. And the man went into the thin air with our money. And then we are not talking about. He employed the worst national security advisor. Yes, an enemy there in his cabinet. He opened the treasury of Nigeria for his wife and his PDP goons to wallop. Is that progress? Nigeria was ailing. Nigeria was living a borrowed life. Yes, he single-handedly handed over power to terrorist Buhari, who completely destroyed the country. So don't tell us about Jonathan. Yes, as an activist and as a citizen, I respect his right to contest. If he wants to run, let him come and run. Let the people choose. That anybody is afraid of him, I doubt it. Who is afraid of him? Yes, nobody should be afraid of a man who sold his soul to Satan because of his greed for power. Jonathan Goodluck came here twice in Houston. No, I saw him face to face. We agreed on a lot of things that he should do to reposition Nigeria for the good of all Nigerians, not for the good of North or South, for the good of all Nigerians. He went behind us. He returned to Nigeria and did a direct opposite of everything that we agreed. Yes, he did opposite of everything we agreed. He brought the Fulani elders, the criminals holding Nigeria hostage. They told him to remove Dr. Festus Odomegu, yes, as the chairman of the Nigerian National Population Commission, a man who was prepared to count Nigeria for the first time. Not just count Nigeria scientifically. He had biometrically mapped Nigeria for counting. Jonathan Goodluck yielded to them because they knew the game that they have been playing. That they import people from Mauritania, they import people from Mali, they import people from Niger, they import people from Chad to be counted as Nigerians. Yes, they were scared that they would be exposed, and they sold Jonathan a dummy. Remove him, and we will support you for a second term. Foolishly, and because of his greed, he removed Dr. Festus Odomegu. Is Dr. Festus Odomegu still alive? For goodness sake, he needed to come out to tell the people of Nigeria the truth. I'm not sure if he's still living. He disgraced that man, and they gave him their nominee. He appointed a Fulani to head the Nigerian National Population Commission. Was the census done? Or if it was done, was it the outcome, the right outcome? So Jonathan Goodluck truly has a right, but he has no moral right to jump and want to be president of Nigeria. We are all waiting. We supported him in 2011. Yes. What did he do? He stabbed all of us in the back. He promised the diaspora that the diaspora will be involved in voting in Nigerian elections. He went to Nigeria. What did they do? Because they know the threat coming from here, that we can erase the fraud that they commit through rigging in Nigeria. If all diasporas are registered to vote in Nigeria and they vote and their votes are counted. Yes, so that is the problem. Jonathan Goodluck is not an option for Nigeria. No, it's not an option. But again, he has a right. But the purpose for this is to iron out one thing, and for us to understand why we are where we are right now. We have for a very long time allowed the divisive elements to be the faces of leadership in Nigeria. Nigeria is supposed to be one Nigeria, not two Nigeria, not North and South Nigeria. We were given independence. Greek gave independence. On paper, it stated one Nigeria, one country with one destiny. And that is what we must build. Lose let's leave this north and south thing. The north and south is for the benefit of a few people, not for the benefit of the people. Now you say you're from the south. What have you benefited from being in the south since you were born? Tell me any one thing that you have achieved being from the south. Now from the north of Nigeria, yes, 60 million Hausa people are living in poverty, absolute poverty. Out of the 60 million, 30 million Hausa children are out of school. Yes, they are begging for food from AM to PM. Does that make you feel good that you are a northerner? Yes. And then why? In the north of Nigeria, okay, they are murdering people. They are killing people. They are killing in Plateau. They are killing in Benue. They are killing in Nasarawa. They are killing in Katsina. Oh, one not. One not. We love it. One not. Look, let's purge ourselves. Hey, Victoria, thank you very much for joining. Richard Okoro, please share this message until it gets to that man they call Undenta Udenta. Let him know that he's an intellectual rogue. We don't want intellectual rogues. And then Reuben Abati, the mainstream media in Nigeria, Arise, Nations, Channel News, they don't tell the people of Nigeria the truth. They are not reporting what the massacre going on in Igbo land right now. Yes, especially in the Okigwe area. Nobody talks about others. They come here. Why not let Abati, let him invite me to his show, Arise. So, because they know they cannot hold me there. That is why they fear me. They are afraid of people like me. And that is why we created ONN. Join us to grow ONN so we'll become that phenomenon and the alternative that Nigeria and the rest of Africa needs, for truth about what is taking place in that country and the continent, and truth about the world in general. Yeah, it's a pleasure, hanging out with you guys. I told you it was going to be a short one. So if you are meeting us for the very first time, please subscribe to our channel and do come back. And for those, our returning members, we can't stop loving you for the great things you do. And for Victoria and the crew, so much love and thanks for all that you guys do to bring us where we are. It wouldn't have been possible without your support. I love you guys and look forward to seeing a true Nigeria emerge. A Nigeria where tribe or tongues will not matter. A Nigeria where there will be no north or south. Just the only thing we'll be talking about with open Nigeria. Progress, progress, progress. We don't want to be seeing the likes of Undenta and Reuben Abati coming to divide and mislead our people. It is time for us to wake up and fight for the real Nigeria that we want. A Nigeria that will be like America. A Nigeria that will be like Germany. A Nigeria that will be like a United Arab Emirates. A Nigeria that will be like better than Japan. In Nigeria will be that will be better than Canada. In Nigeria, because we have the resources, we have the human, we have the natural, we have the mineral resources to turn Nigeria around and inspire the total liberation and unification of Africa. Again, like I always say, Nigeria is the obstacle, the greatest obstacle to the liberation and unity of Africa. Bye for now. I love you guys.